Every year, Grandview supports a person or a community in need during Miracle Week. Grandview's Miracle Week starts on Monday, March 6th, and is focused on raising money for SLC6A1 Connect, a patient organization that's sole purpose is to develop a treatment and a cure for children suffering with SLC6A1. SLC6A1 is a rare neurological disease that affects about 1 in 3,500 children. Grandview supported Max for our 2020 Miracle Week. This year, we're supporting Max again along with Charlie, Riley, Will, and Jackson.
Student leadership is in charge of Miracle Week. We had every student write down ideas of topics and organizations that they're super interested and passionate about. This year, we narrowed our topic down to working with a child. Like one year we did homelessness, and then last year we did the medical dogs. So we were super passionate about doing another child again.
Our son William was diagnosed just after he turned 3, and it was really devastating. But it also gave us some hope because we had some answers. We knew how to best help William now that we had a diagnosis. And luckily, when William was diagnosed, SLC6A1 Connect, our nonprofit, was already in existence. So we immediately started doing some Google searches, and within the first 48 hours connected with Amber, and have now this wonderful nonprofit to work for, and that's working for us and our children, and a great network of other parents to be able to help us through the difficulties that we have. It still is a grieving process, but because of SLC6A1 Connect, it's been much more manageable and tolerable.
When we received the diagnosis for my son Charlie, he was not even 2, and at that time SLC Connect existed, but it was very hard to find. Doctors and lab testing facilities, they didn't really know about the nonprofit, so they weren't helping direct us there. And it was very early on in the foundation's kind of structure. So when we found out, we were told there's nothing you can do, there's no organization, there's no hope, go home and love your kid. He's gonna have seizures, he's gonna have disabilities, we'll learn from you what that's gonna be. And they even went as far as saying we don't know what his life expectancy will be. So as you can imagine, that was really devastating. It felt like everything that we could have wanted for our child was ripped away from us in that moment. It was pretty bleak and dark when we got Charlie's diagnosis.
My son Jackson was diagnosed just before he turned 1, and actually he was one of the first kids in the world to be diagnosed. There was, I don't even know if there was 50 people identified yet when he was diagnosed back in 2017. Into 2017. It was exactly as Kim described, dark and devastating. What was existing at the time was one Facebook group with the few parents that had formed together that did have a diagnosis. And when I say few, I mean few. Amber and her son Maxwell would not be diagnosed for another 6 months after Jackson. So there was no SLC6A1 Connect at the time. And I just remember feeling lost and hopeless because up until that time, we were told most kids grow out of their developmental disabilities. Most kids, their speech does catch up. These things can get better. Seizures can be treated with medication. And so there was this sense of hope that whatever was affecting him, he was going to grow out of it. And actually, as he's grown, his life has become more difficult, and he's not one of the kids that ever caught up and got to have speech and, experience the things that we hope for him. So it felt like a sentence, like a punishment.
Hearing and accepting that your child has SLC6A1 is hard enough, but learning to adapt and raise them can be even harder.
Every day is different, and the days that aren't different, you're scared for the next day to come and something change. So we have these highs and we have these lows, but the moment you're in a good space, all you can think about is losing it all. And the hardship and the pain and the worry isn't just for you, the mom. it trickles down to all of us they all have those who have siblings. The impact it is on the siblings is pretty devastating. Our marriages, our just friendships, our ability to leave our house. It's the hardest thing I've ever lived through.
Our kids have a spectrum of how they're affected, but they're all affected, right? And so it's kind of like saying, well, you had this cancer, that one was easier to deal with than that cancer. It's like, just because some kids don't have speech or some kids have more seizures, like, it doesn't take away the pain and the heartache that we experience as parents. Like, we all are walking in the same struggles. Our stories just shape up a little differently. It's actually changed me for the better. I'm a better human being for having met my son. My 11-year-old son would tell you that Jackson was meant to be in our lives, and to teach us, such important lessons. We have gratitude in ways that we don't anymore, because my son learning how to jump at 4 years old was a huge milestone, but that's something that kids do when they're 18 months old, right? But we now learn to celebrate the small things in life, whereas before we probably took a lot of that for granted. And so as painful and as excruciating as it is, like, if I stay in that moment every day, my life doesn't get better, right? All I can do is focus on the wins and the victories, and create space separately for those harder days.
Miracle Week doesn't just affect the families Grandview helps, but it also affects the students.
It meant a lot to us, orchestrating something so big our freshman year, and the amount of impact it had on our community, as well as the state, nation, and around the world. So after our freshman year, it got a lot of recognition with news channels around, and then it ended up Children's Hospital of Colorado made their own wing at Children's Hospital, just up in Lone Tree, I believe. And they opened their own wing just for SLC6A1 research, and I believe that's fully because of the generosity of Grandview.
The community that the moms have found with SLC6A1 Connect is great, and having Grandview support means the world.
When I was a kid, before I had children of my own, I never really appreciated the struggles and the hardships and the heartaches of parenting. And I think that those heartaches and hardships are much larger when you have a child that has developmental delays or medical issues. And just like that, the celebrations are that much more amazing. Like Kelly said, something as simple as our kid learning to jump. And so, to say that the love and support of strangers, of our kids, means a lot isn't even comparable to me saying that about one of my two neurotypical children. That pride, that feeling humbled, it's far beyond being able to even express in words. I feel like I say that all the time of how thankful we are of people, especially those that really have no connection to any of us, no personal connection, and really just want to help. And it just, I don't know, it just means more than we could ever express.
Yeah, I would add that it's life-changing for so many people. It's life-changing for the three of us. It's life-changing for our children. And I have seen firsthand this be life-changing for the people like you all who are helping our families. I always have been involved in nonprofits, just by nature of my career. But anytime I've been able to give back, I walk away feeling so empowered. So it's been a little hard to be on the other side of it and be the one receiving that kind of love and support from the community. But it's changed our family forever. It's changed me forever. And we just can't thank you guys enough.
I can't remember if it was Kim or Whitney alluded to how our kids don't get the same experiences that some neurotypical kids do. And Jackson, he goes to a special school for children that are similarly able to him, which is on the lowest end of functioning for the autism spectrum. And he doesn't get invited to birthday parties, and he kids don't play with him on the playground, and they look at him funny because when you first look at him, he just looks like a beautiful child. But then 3 or 4 seconds in, he has atypical movements. He has complex motor stereotypies, and he just you start to realize something's different about Jackson, and people start to back away. He squeals when he gets excited. People cover their ears, and it's just this feeling of never belonging. And seeing him grow to an age where he's starting to be aware that people back away from him and shy away from him, and so for him to be welcomed into the school, and for kids to be raising funds for children like Jackson, and he just gets to be a part of on that day, and he was invited to be there. This might be the second thing Jackson's ever been invited to, right? Ever, that someone considered Jackson for something. And so for me as a mom, it brings a lot of healing to my heart to know that my son can just be accepted for who he is on that day by those people. They're not expecting a perfect, typical child to walk in the door. And I'm just really excited for that.
Grandview is excited to support these families, and in turn, they're ecstatic to come.
So excited.
Very exactly excited, humbled, and honored all at the same time. Just blown away because every dollar that the organization raises goes 100% towards research for a cure. Kim and Whitney and Amber run the organization without taking a salary, and so when your students are out there raising money for us, every single dollar means one step closer to our kids being able to live a more enriched and fulfilled life.
I remember when Amber participated the first time. I had just met her, and it was incredible. And to see the smile on Amber and Maxwell's face, and I always say this, anytime kids are helping other kids, it is so special. There's something so cool about high schoolers, grade schoolers coming together and wanting to improve the lives of other families and kids. So I can't wait. Charlie is going to absolutely love this experience. He loves people, and he's going to ham it up and enjoy all of the love and support that you guys are giving to them. So I can't wait to be there.
Our kids have some major struggles and don't always fit in or get to participate in things that their peers get to. And so to be able to have this special event just for them, to highlight them and celebrate them and celebrate our organization, it means so much. And I hope that, you all getting to meet our kids and meet us gives you a little bit of a personal connection. And, not only, like Kelly said, do we feel like this is such a good organization to donate to, because your money, truly every penny goes to help our kids, but we want you to see those dollars at work. We want you to know our kids and get to see the successes that they're having because of the donors and the generosity from complete strangers. It's really amazing.
So I think people should donate because we raised a lot of money for Maxwell our freshman year to do experiments. However, when they did the experiments, they had to push back a lot because they ended up killing the rats that were doing the experiments for the treatment because they were looking for the COVID-19 vaccine. They lost a lot of money, unfortunately, but now that the COVID vaccine and stuff like that is over, they can start working and really narrowing down on the treatment. So I think people should donate because of the impact it can have on finding this treatment and making sure there's no other kids like these kids.
Grandview has a goal to raise $15,000. Participate or come to any of the Miracle Week events to support. All funds go towards research for a cure for SLC6A1. Consider donating to help Max, Riley, Will, Charlie, and Jackson. This has been Mariah Jeffries reporting for Grandview TV.